Well, everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. I'm totally surprising you with this live stream. I just have some time. Just want to kind of go through a little bit about Bitcoin, a little bit about altcoins. Ethereum, particularly, has been underperforming severely. What's going on? Well, I got the Bitcoin monthly chart here pulled up. I am not going to look at a monthly chart yet. I want to look at a little bit closer in terms of what we're seeing here. So, first of all, I'm going to change this to the daily chart. And if I change it to the daily chart, you can see that I have a Gann square here, and there's a little bit of increased volume picking up, by the way. I'm going to turn off the volume just to keep it clean here. This Gann square was drawn for 720 and 100, and this is done on a daily. And initially, I had two paths kind of set up here. One was the path that is just going to go underneath the angle and go directly over to 100,000, and that could happen by December. The other path is apparently the one that I did not really envision, and it looks like it might be one to do that. I'm not really sure, but so far the daily candle is kind of getting above the angle here. Now we could very well get in and getting rejected here at the angle, very well, very possible. But so far, the angle, if we end up closing above, I would say roughly around like 93,000, 93,200, 93,300 or so, then we might end up having a candle close above the angle. We might actually just kind of go straight to the arc up above. The importance of arc up above, well, it's going to be around 100,000. Once it gets up there, I think we're going to start seeing a lot of resistance. And I think Bitcoin is just going the path of least resistance, just kind of going up. Hey, hello, games. I have some time. I figure I'll just do a live stream. I was going to record a video anyway, but figure out talking about Bitcoin altcoins. I think it's probably going to go to the arc here, either through the path of least resistance underneath the arc, or if it ends up breaking about the arc, not arc, underneath the angle, or if it ends up breaking about the angle, it can go up to the arc up here. Regardless, I think it's probably going to hit not triple digit, six figures sometime maybe by the end of the year. I think it's entirely possible based on the trend, right? This is what I'm seeing here on the daily. Now, I also have a weekly chart here. In the weekly chart, this weekly again has also got some really beautiful market symmetry. And right now, the path of least resistance is going to be up here. At the arc up here is also going to be around 102,000. So I think price is going to end up gravitating up there. And when we get up there, I think we're going to hit some resistance here. I don't think it's going to shift through like that. But the best case scenario would be kind of get inside the arc and and just kind of hovering around here and getting everybody kind of bullish, but then everybody lose interest because they're just hovering around the arc here while altcoins catch up. That's going to be the best case scenario. But I totally see it pushing at least to the bottom of the arc here, maybe get rejected, or it might end just pushing inside the arc, kind of like what it did over here back in December, January of last year. I can totally see that happening before making the next push up. The overall theme, though, is if you look at the month, if you look at the monthly, it also just looks like it's just ticking off. I mean, there are some higher targets here on the monthly based on Fibonacci sequence and based on the monthly Gann here, which also has some really good market symmetry, by the way. Arc, arc, arc. And right now, we're just kind of hovering around. We just took off from going down the driveway, or if you will, going down. It looks like it's ticking off, right? Kind of like we did over here. So I think that we might end up continuing gravitating up. I don't think 100,000 is going to be the cycle top. I think it's going to go up a lot higher. There are some targets up here above. I don't know where it's going to hit precisely, but yeah, I think things are going to go pretty well. And whenever you have something like this happen, and Bitcoin in the month of November just started to make convincingly these all-time highs here. So I think it's probably gonna end up keep on pushing up higher, while altcoins in general, they tend to lag, and that's okay. There's really nothing that's scary about it. MSTR is running hot, and it has been running hot. And I think, if anything, I think that's like a precursor in terms of what's going to happen with Bitcoin. And there's a potential where MSTR, I don't know when it's going to top. I have a separate video to kind of talk to you about, when MSTR is going to top. I don't know. But I have some thoughts. I think it's good to monitor trend, look for trend exhaustion, things like that. But it's getting the higher MSTR is going like this, the scarier it is for me. I think the higher the risk is for MSTR. Regardless, not going to talk about MSTR. We're going to talk about things that are lagging. What is lagging? Well, what is lagging is Ethereum, right? Before I talk about Ethereum, though, I do want to talk about the liquidation heat map here. You have Bitcoin within the next 24 hours or so. If Bitcoin prices go up to 95,400, there's going to be a lot of liquidation that's going to happen up here, right? If price goes up there within the next 24 hours. And I think it probably will because the trend's been pretty bullish and we have been just kind of liquidating after liquidating after liquidating these shorts up here. And they keep shorting Bitcoin. Like they just like, oh, it didn't work, we're gonna short here. It didn't work, we're gonna short here. They just keep on putting money into this. And market makers, they already want to bring it up to 100,000. They see these shorts, they're like, okay, thank you, thank you, thank you. There's not even really any like need for any significant pullback because there really isn't that many like leverage longs down here for them to really come down and try and liquidate their position. There really isn't any, right? Ethereum is a little bit of a different story. Ethereum, something just happened. If you're wondering why Ethereum is lagging, a lot of people have been longing Ethereum. I don't know why. It's been lagging behind, I guess, just like Bitcoin has been leading. So people are trying to short Bitcoin, trying to long Ethereum using these like 100x, 25x longs, and they've been liquidated because, yeah, thank you for your service. Thanks for dragging Ethereum prices down. But at this point, I'm not really that concerned about Ethereum. Just keep on going down. There are a few reasons for that. First reason would be if you just simply look at what happened last cycle and looking at what happened this cycle. The last cycle actually, I'm going to go back here to Bitcoin. Going back to Bitcoin, the last cycle, Bitcoin made all-time high right around December. It didn't really make an all-time high until December, but it got really close to it around November, right? If you're talking about the fact that Bitcoin made kind of close to an all-time high in November, Ethereum, and this is November 2020. Ethereum, what happened back in November 2020? Ethereum had a green candle, but it's nowhere near its all-time high, right? If you do a Fibonacci level from here going down to here, oh man, I'm gonna make the lines drag to the extent to the right here. If you do a Fibonacci level from here down, you can see that last time Ethereum um, before Bitcoin hits all-time high in like November, December, Ethereum got stuck underneath the 0.618 level down here for a few months, you know. And once it breaks above the 0.618, yeah, it went a lot higher. But even when Bitcoin was making its all-time high around November, December, Ethereum was still underneath the 0.786. It's still underneath that particular level, right? During this cycle actually is a little bit more bullish for Ethereum, which is kind of hard to believe based on how bad the price action has been for a lot of people. We're basically kind of experiencing the same thing, except instead of being stuck underneath the 0.618, I'm going to make this, make the label there to the right there. There you go. Instead of getting stuck at the 0.618, what it did is it got really, really bullish. It pushed all the way up to close to trying to break up above the 0.786, got a lot of people really bullish, including me. And then it just kind of made a little bit of a dive in top here, came back down, back tested 0.618, held for about 3 or 4 months, held perfectly, and right now it's challenging the 0.786, right? You remember the last cycle, it was stuck underneath underneath the 0.618 here for quite some time. And it took about 2 months to or 3 actually break above. We didn't really actually break above the 0.76 until January, right? So if anything, I think that this cycle is actually a little bit earlier. I don't think it's going to end up just pushing through the 0.786 on the first try. I think it's probably going to need the next month to really end up closing above the 0.786. And if you end up doing that, Ethereum would be like, it would actually be earlier than it was before. It actually would be ahead of schedule from compared to the last cycle, right? The other things too, if you look at Ichimoku, it clearly broke above the cloud, came back tested cloud for like 3 or 4 months, held perfectly, right? It looks like it wants to take off, but right now it's hitting a little bit of a resistance here by the Tenkan, which I think it will pass, but maybe not this month, maybe the next month. And I think once it passes, then you're really talking about, let me see. once you're passing the Tenkan here, and once it passes 0.786, then you're really talking about some all-time high stuff. Then you're talking about some of the higher targets that Ethereum could potentially hit. I don't know where exactly it's going to hit. And if you're also looking at the last cycle and compare that to this cycle, last cycle, where did Ethereum end up hitting? Let's see. Yeah, last cycle Ethereum ended up hitting almost perfectly at 1.414, right? On the logarithmic Fibonacci levels, right? So let's say if this cycle ends up hitting the 1.414, then you're talking about getting close to like a 5-digit Ethereum. But this cycle could also potentially shoot through that. It could hit 14,000 because we're ahead of schedule. There might be a little bit more runway for Ethereum to go. If it passes that, then you're talking about some of the crazier levels up here above. I don't know whether or not Ethereum's going up 10xing from here. It doesn't seem like it. But yeah, I mean, it just seems like there's a lot more room for it to go after we break above the 0.786. Now I think some all-time high stuff is going to go. And this cycle probably still has another, like, by my best estimate, maybe another like 9 or 10 months to go. So we see how high the next like 9 or 10 months are going to end up going. When it goes, it really does go, right? So we'll see how it goes. I really don't know. I feel confident that since a lot of the Ethereum shorts has already been kind of closed here, and also if you look at like a lower time frame Ethereum chart, I think I have this on the daily here. Yeah, you look at the lower time frame Ethereum chart. Actually, this is probably a 12-hour chart, but anyway, it's fine. Yeah, let's do 12 hours. 483. It's probably 8 hours. Fine. Proportionality wise, this is still going to give you some really good market symmetry. Ethereum has just been stuck in a range down here between these arcs. Finally broke above the green arc over here, shot through the other dark green arc, went up to the purple arc right here, got rejected, came back down, couldn't hold the angle, came back down, tested this arc here multiple times. There's a possibility for it to even tap this arc here one more time. It can. It doesn't have to, but it can. So far, this is a bullish engulfing candle for all of these, red candles over here. So right now, the trend is actually turning more and more bullish, actually. And the volume of these selling volume candles over here is actually not that great. So we'll see. Like Ethereum can come back all the way down and touch the top of the arc here again around 3,030, or even lower if it come back down and back test the 2900 80 zone. It would still be a very bullish kind of look to it because it's just basically got rejected here at resistance, came back and trying to test support. And I think that support probably will hold, right? Trying to break resistance here at the horizontal line over here was not able to. So it just kind of had to come back here and come back down, back test some stuff. And then we'll see whether or not it takes off from there. With Bitcoin being so nicely up, Ethereum just seems like it's just kind of lagging behind. I think it's going to do pretty decent moving forward. I'm done talking about Ethereum. I'm going to move on to the next one that a lot of people are paying attention to, which is Dogecoin. In order to look at Dogecoin, you have to look on the weekly chart. I think this is probably the best way to look at Doge, is look at a weekly chart. Because what it's doing right now is basically almost the exact same thing that it did last cycle, which is kind of crazy to think about because Dogecoin is a much larger market cap than it did last cycle. But I guess market cap may not mean anything. But what I really have to say here is that Dogecoin, you can draw these Fibonacci retracement levels. You can try to see how they've previously worked out. The key thing here is, I mean, this might not be like the exact level. There you go. That might be more like it. That bothers me a little bit. Sorry, 0.1, 0.0, 0.0011. There you go. Now, what it's doing right now is almost the exact same thing as the last cycle. What did it do last cycle? Last cycle went up here to the top, came to the bottom. You can draw Fibonacci level here. And when it decided to go higher, it got stuck somewhere before it made a very, very big parabolic move. It got stuck between the 0.618 and the 0.786. And it really literally got rejected here, 0.786 here, and it got stuck here for about 3 or 4 weeks, right? What are we doing right now? Well, we are pushing through to 0.618 and we're getting rejected here at the 0.786. Does it have to come back all the way down to the 0.618? Not necessarily. If it comes back down, oh heck yeah, I'm buying a lot more, but it doesn't have to, right? It's just kind of stuck here at this range, just like it did last cycle before it broke out. So I think that maybe another few weeks consolidation would be healthy for Doge. There's no reason for it to need to just keep pushing up higher because I really don't want people to get too bullish on Doge. I want actually for a more sustainable bull trend. You actually want sentiment to kind of reset. And right now, I think like most people don't even care about Doge right now, even though it's just made like a crazy gain over the last couple of months. Nobody really cares about Doge. That's what you want to see, right? Nobody cares. Um, Going back to other indicators here, actually, I think the 2-week Ichimoku cloud may be a little bit more clear. Whenever it breaks above the 2-week Ichimoku cloud, it gets close to the top of the cloud over here and just kind of gets stuck there for like a few weeks. Over here, it did the same thing, broke through, open the cloud, and it just kind of gets stuck here at like the level of the top of the cloud here for a few weeks. Same thing's happening right now, and it's consolidating sideways. I'm not saying that it always have to play out the same way, but I'm just saying that I'm seeing very, very similar things that's happening between the two, right? Even the monthly Ichimoku, I think the monthly Ichimoku cloud this time might play out a little bit different compared to last cycle. Because the last cycle, it really didn't care about the monthly Ichimoku cloud here at all. It just pushes through it in January like it's butter. It didn't care, right? Here, well, we care a lot. We're getting stuck right there on the monthly Ichimoku cloud. We're like literally just kind of stuck here. And we're not able to go up that much higher yet because we're at resistance. But it's very possible, and I think we're probably getting stuck here in this range for another couple weeks. So that would probably tie us through the end of November. So I don't think this like piercing through the entire Ichimoku cloud like it's butter is going to happen here. I think we're probably going to end up selling somewhere down or even close to a month, right around where we are at. And then the next month would be the breakout, candle for Doge to go a lot higher. So yeah, I'm that's kind of what I'm seeing here so far. I'm not really concerned that it's kind of like stuck in space here because it's been forming higher high, higher low, higher high. I don't know it even wants to form a higher low. If it forms a higher low, it can come back down here to the bottom of the cloud, right? What did I say the Fibonacci levels were? I said the Fibonacci levels were, up here, right? Around 0.76, around 0.618, which is going to be either 42 cents or 26 cents, right? If it comes back down and back tests the bottom of the cloud here, that would be actually a very, very bullish development. And I buy a lot more here, right? When everybody's going to be like scared as crap, but I'm just going to buy if it ends up happening, just rechecks and come back down to the bottom of the cloud here around 25 cents or to 0.786 around 26 cents. Like whatever you guys want to do. I don't care. I'm just eyeing this level. I have a bag. If it goes up a lot higher from here, I'm happy. I don't care. Looking at the liquidation heat map here, what is Doge doing right now? Well, let's see if this thing ever loads. Doge looks like it wants to go back to 40 cents, right? A lot of shorts are piling up here around 40 cents. So yeah, quite possible. This is the probably reason why it probably there's a possibility where it's just stuck between the top of the cloud here and the 0.786 and just kind of hovering around here because a lot of people might be trying to short it. If it comes back down here, I think it might be a gift. But yeah, a lot of people are trying to short it right now. So that's Doge. How high do I think Doge is going to go? Where did it go last cycle? Doesn't mean that it's going to happen this cycle, right? But where did it go last cycle? Last cycle it went up all the way up to like the 2.272, right? And a little bit beyond, like so a little bit beyond that. It did getting stalled around the 1.414, right? So is this cycle going to play out the exact same way? Not necessarily, although there's a lot of similarities between this cycle and last cycle, even based on Fibonacci extension levels. If it ends up hitting the 2.272, you got like the $24 Doge, which is absolutely insane in terms of market cap. I don't think it's going to get up there. I think it might be a little bit more reasonable to think about like 2.3 or $4. Or if you're not into like the Fibonacci level unlock scale, you're a little bit more of a conservative person, then you can look at some of the linear targets. You might be thinking about potentially, let's see. Yeah, you might be thinking about potentially hitting some of the linear targets up here above, maybe like $1.20, right? Or just something like that. It doesn't necessarily mean that it has to go up that much higher, or maybe like $1.63, Or if you're talking about the 2.618, which is completely reasonable, maybe $1.88, right? All of those are potentially good potential targets because of how impulsive the bull trend is right now. That's Dogecoin. Somebody was going to ask me to talk about Shiba. With Shiba, it's a little bit tricky right now. Shiba is a little bit underperforming Doge. I got a really beautiful Gann chart here that has where the price of Shiba has really been respecting for a very long time. Even up here, you got rejection here, back test, rejection, rejection, back test, push through, back test, and now you're gravitating to horizontal line over here. Got rejected, came back down, didn't really quite touch the angle. Now you're pushing through into the arc here again, right? The next arc, you're going to the next arc. This is progressing. And why is price having a hard time pushing through? Well, it's because it is stuck right here at the arc. It's just simply back tested 0.5 fib level here, right? Almost to the dollar, right? Almost to the cent, whatever you call it. And it wants to push through the arc. It's just not able to. It could potentially consolidate here for another week or two before pushing through the arc. If you're able to push through the arc, I think it's going to gravitate to 0.618. And then once it gets there, if it pushes through the arc, then it's going to go to 0.786. But Shiba is lagging behind Doge because it's instead of being between the 0.786 and 0.618, it's between the 0.5 and 0.618, right? And it's also underneath a little bit of resistance here. So maybe a little bit more patience would be required for Shiba. But the Shiba target is also pretty insane. Like you're talking about, if it breaks about this arc here, you can potentially go up to the next arc, and you basically just knocking a whole zero off and more, right? So I'm not in Shiba, but I think that there is some potential, exponential gain here. There's always a possibility it doesn't make it to the arc up here. There's always a possibility where it just kind of hits some of these levels up here above. For example, this 1.618 here on the log. Or you can potentially hit some of the linear fib extension targets up here, and that would be the end of the cycle. That's entirely possible too, right? But yeah, I think it's gonna probably knock out a zero here this cycle. That's what I think. But it's hovering underneath resistance. We'll see how it goes. A lot of people's talking about Solana. I think Solana is a really beautiful setup. First of all, Solana just looked like Bitcoin. It bounced from the weekly Ichimoku cloud, and it's just kind of going up to moon here. It is having a little bit of a hard time trying to reach its previous all-time high, but I think it will pass that, and it's going to go a lot higher after. But it might have a little bit of level of consolidation here underneath at the previous all-time high here. I can totally see that happening for Solana. But with Solana, it's already done all the major work. It's already pushed through 0.786. It's just been backtested 0.786 here for almost the entire year. Right now, we have taken off of the 0.786, which means I think we're probably going to hit all-time high stuff coming up pretty soon. And I'm pretty optimistic. Is it possible for Solana to hit the 1.618, where it goes basically go almost 10x from where it is at right now? Possible. I do think that there's a little bit of concern that I have with Solana is I think this might be wave 1, this might be wave 3, and wave 5 might be not that bullish. It might be a little bit truncated just because a lot of the forward gains has already been made. So there's always a possibility where it might not hit all of these crazy log fib levels, but hit some of these linear fib levels here, maybe a 5x, right, to about 1,000. That's also a possibility just because of how much forward gain is already had. And a lot of people might be looking to rotate, right? The other level to potentially look for maybe is the 1.414, which is generally a reasonable log fib level to hit. So yeah, I think $1,000 Solana is entirely possible. It's entirely possible. I can talk about a few of my other favorites. Not really my favorite per se, but this is one that the great Masby and Co. and the Tesla Tracker and them all get very excited about, which is XRP. Well, what do I think about XRP? I don't know what to think about XRP. Is that resistance, right? All I know is that I promised them, hey, if we come back test the area down here, I'll buy some. So I ended up buying $20 of XRP. Currently, I have maybe 2021 XRP or something like that. It's meaningless. But look at how nicely it's been following this 4-hour Gann chart just from arc to arc. Very nice. Got up here, back test the arc here. This is when I bought, and it just pushes back above and it's trying to get above the horizontal line over here forming a little bit of a very nice bull flag of consolidation. I think it's going to get to the arc up above. And it's going to push through the arc, and I have to draw another arc probably soon, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. What do I think about the higher time frame thoughts on XRP? I'll show you what I think. Well, first of all, is really kind of broken about the monthly Ichimoku cloud. I had a feeling that it might close the month underneath the monthly Ichimoku cloud. It was just going to be below. Let's see, the top of the cloud right now is, where's the cloud at? Why is it not giving me the number? Anyway, I'm just going to do a little bit of a rough guide here. Actually, I know why it's not giving me a number, because I turned off the leading span B. That's why. The top of the cloud here is going to be 1.04, so $1.04. Entirely possible that we close the month underneath of that. Does that mean that we are getting rejected in the cloud here, just like we did over here? And it just kind of go down like that? I doubt it. I think this is a very, very nice breakout, and I think that XRP is probably gonna end up. Hey, new Nazis, hello. I think XRP is probably gonna end up breaking above this line here. It tried to break above, but ended up getting rejected here so far. But I think XRP is probably gonna end up breaking above the line over here eventually. And if it does, another back test of the cloud, or it doesn't have to, it just keep going, then moon it goes, right? Doesn't have to have a bearish engulfing candle like it did over here. Anything is possible. Can get rejected and have like a bearish engulfing, and keeps on making these volatility and just keeps going higher. But I think trend is my friend. I think it's consolidating sideways here enough. I think this breakout is real. I think the Tengen Kitchen is forming a little bit of a katana. I think it wants to push above the diagonal trend line here. I think it might end up closing the month underneath the monthly Ichimoku, but that's okay. I think the next one's going to be above it. I think it's going to go higher based on what I'm seeing. It depends on where you want to draw the Fibonacci in terms of where you think that this cycle would go. I can do from the last cycle top and last cycle bottom. And you can see that it still has a hard time breaking above 0.76. If you break above 0.76, then lights out, right? Until then, I don't know how high this thing's going to go. But if you break above the 0.76, then you're talking maybe like $4, $6 XRP. I think it's possible if you're breaking about that zone. You can also be potentially talking about some of the higher levels up here, above $13, $22, $44. The market cap is going to be like pretty exponential if it gets up there. So I don't know. It's going to be a lot hard time and a lot of resistance to kind of go push through to kind of get up there. But we'll see what happens over 9 or 10 months. And we'll see what happens after it breaks above the 0.76. Once it breaks above the 0.76, I do expect some lights out price action for XRP, possibly $4, $6, or $13 XRP. I don't know how high it's going to go. Those are kind of my thought. Hey, DN, welcome. Just figured I'd do a little bit of a live stream here since I have time. ADA, this is one that I do have a small position, and I'm going to talk about Chainlink. ADA is doing fabulous. If that's a word that a cat can use. So the whole idea about ADA is it found support. This is a beautiful Gantt chart. It's got a lot of really beautiful market symmetry with the arc and with the angle. It held the 45-degree angle almost perfectly, and it broke out above the 45-degree angle, pushed right into the arc. And right now, so far, it's getting rejected here at 0.5 Fib level. I think it probably eventually has enough juice to push to 0.618. If it gets rejected here, well, you might end up going sideways here back to 0.382, back tested around 63 cents before further bullish continuation. Or you might end up just having enough to just kind of melt yourself up to this arc, or even up to the 0.618 here, around $1.15. And then you're going to talk about some major resistance here. Maybe push through here, back test the arc down here a little bit for cool off through time, and then push up above a lot higher targets. How high do I think Cardano can go? Well, let's see what happens after it breaks above the 0.786. It breaks about the 0.786, then you can go a lot higher. You could potentially go up to the arc up here, around anywhere around $6 to $10, somewhere up there. Yeah, BN, I enjoy doing this. I really don't. The reason why I charge like $4.99, I'm not even sure if I should. It's mostly to like weed out all the requests, because I can't. handle like people just throwing requests left and right anymore. I just can't. Like I'm starting to ignore like if you comment on my post on X, if it's not a chart request, I usually comment. If it's chart request, unless if it's something that I want to do, I just ignore it because I don't want to make it feel like work. but but this is ADA weekly chart, right? I think it's gonna break the 0.618 eventually, sometime around like early 2025. And then it's also probably gonna break the 0.786 here. But you still got a ways to go. A lot of resistance up above. Might take a few months to kind of push through. If it pushes through, then yeah, I'm talking about maybe the 1.414. I don't know if it's going to go to 1.618 like $15 Cardano. I don't know. $9 possible, or if that's too bullish for you, you can look at the linear fib levels. Maybe anywhere around $3 or $4. Maybe that's just a little bit higher from the previous top here around the 1.414, 1.618, and that would be the end of the cycle. Possible. But once it breaks above the arc, I think most likely it's going to end up gravitating to the next arc up here, which is probably going to be around $6, $7 or $9 Cardano, somewhere around there. That's kind of what I think. Yeah, another one that I like that I don't really have that big of a position on is Avalanche with low gains. Come on, you don't have to do that, man. All right. Thank you, sir. Or ma'am, I actually don't know, but thank you. You have the you rent a GME based on a previous show. Yeah, I'm gonna buy some GME. I'm gonna probably get into it a little bit more. I don't know if I will like ape into it. I just don't really like. It's not like my cup of tea. Oh, it's now it's below $29 again. Oh, we'll see. Anyway, going back to Avalanche, re-entered make more sense. Going back to Avalanche, getting rejected here is 0.5, right? Kind of like what Cardano's been doing right now. But I think it has enough juice to hit the 0.618, which is like $50 Avalanche, and I think it's going to push through eventually, sometime early 2025, push to $80, challenge the 0.786. And in terms of where the cycle is going to end, do I think it's going to go up to like some crazy levels up above where you're going to have like 4-digit Avalanche? Probably not. But do I think that a $477 Avalanche is possible? Maybe. Maybe. A lot of resistance to break though before you get there, right? The cycle can entirely just end with another repeat of a triple-digit Avalanche, and that would be it, right? Maybe hit the arc up here, and then they're like, no, thank you, we're exhausted. Global liquidity really wasn't that big to sustain further pump. Or the market mechanism can be like, oh, you know what? Yeah, we're just going to pump it up here and use US liquidity. I don't know what it's going to do. All I know is probably got another like 10 months or something like that to do that, whatever it's going to do. Higher highs, higher lows. Wouldn't bet against Avalanche. Chainlink. Keep getting asked about Chainlink. What's Chainlink doing? What's Chainlink doing? What's Chainlink doing? Do you have an update on Chainlink? Do I have an update on Chainlink? Well, I do a little bit, but there's really no update. I mean, this is like my projected path. I think you're gonna probably end up hitting the. I think you're probably gonna getting some like 160 or 180 Chainlink this cycle is kind of what I'm thinking. I think that it would probably hit the 1.6, 1.4 and 4 around 140. It could go a little bit higher. It can go up to like 160, 180. And the 160 and 180 is going to be instead of looking at the fib level on log scale, you look at the linear scale. 180 is going to be like the 3.618, which I think is entirely reasonable to do, considering just how long it's been basically forming a base. Whenever it launches, it's going to launch pretty high. But these are just some theoretical targets I'm kind of looking at. I don't know for sure because you never know. But I do like the fact that Avalanche is already above the 0.382. It's had a hard time before trying to break above the 0.382, but right now you're already broken above of it. So where is it going to go? But probably going to go to 0.618. We got rejected there last time, so we've already been testing it. So we're probably going to push through it this time. Maybe back test to 0.618, maybe back test to ARC here. and you do have a horizontal GAN line over here, which is pretty close to 0.786. So you can either get rejected at the GAN line here or get rejected at 0.786, come back and back test the arc and go higher. This is all speculation, but I do have a position in Chainlink, and I'm pretty bullish on it just based on the fact that it's just been consolidating sideways here for a very, very long time. That's what I am thinking on that. Couple of Doge on you. That's more than a couple. That's like how many Dogecoin? It's like that's like 8 Dogecoin, man. Or yeah, something like that. That's amazing. Thank you. Yeah, GME hitting resistance. It's okay. I'm gonna just kind of finish up. I do want to spend maybe another like 10, 15, 20 minutes talking about some other altcoins here. There is one that I was kind of eyeing that's just been excruciatingly painful, which is MATIC. MATIC is sad. MATIC pushed for the arc and then came back tested the arc, decided not to go any further, and decided to have a prolonged bear market where it's just kind of going sideways down this arc here, and was able to finally hit this like pretty confluent zone down here around the arc, around the angle, around the horizontal line. And this is why I think that MATIC most likely has like just absolutely bottomed. It like bottomed at an area that it's just so reasonable for it to be bottomed at. Yeah, so I'm okay like with where is that? Does it mean that it's just going to make like a V-shaped recovery and just going to do like what it did over here? Not necessarily, because you do have to kind of work a lot of technicals before things would just go up like that. Whenever you have something that is just kind of gone sideways and down like that for a long time, I worry about the 20-month moving average as resistance. So I don't think that it's going to push about like 60 cents that easily. I think I still have enough time if I ever want to get back into MATIC. This is probably going to be a little bit like a late cycle runner. So I'm probably going to stay with the other, like ADA is an early cycle runner in general. That's what generally happens. XRP is an early cycle runner. That's generally what happens. And Ethereum is like a mid cycle runner. And you also got like some late cycle runners too, usually, right? I think MATIC is shaping up to be maybe a little bit of like a late cycle just because of how much resistance that has to fight for right now. Even with the Ishimoku clouds like right above, right? Like so I'm saying talking about like maybe 60 cents. You're gonna end up getting rejected here again and trying to form maybe a little bit of a higher low before pushing through. But yeah, MATIC's gonna be a late cycle bloomer. I'm not even gonna talk too much about targets for that because I'm just gonna let it do its thing. Some people, yeah, take care. Yeah, thanks for dropping by. Some people are really getting more excited about some of the coins that have kind of outperformed at the beginning of the cycle. One is RNDR. RNDR has been doing pretty good. Again, like when you have something like this, I do worry that this is like wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 may be a little bit short, right? But and then RNDR is also right now it's also hitting like the bottom of the weekly Ichimoku cloud as resistance. But like overall, it's everything is like all these altcoins are looking pretty decent. I have to say, I think RNDR is going to make a higher high. I just don't know how high it's going to go. Right? If you have to do, I already did a fit level here. If you have to do a Fibonacci level, it already broke the 0.76 and back tested almost perfectly. Right? Whenever you have something like this that happened, on top of that, you are also got. Let me see. This scan chart is. Yeah, so this scan is done by 360 and 1. So whenever you have something like this on a fit level, and confluent with the fact that it just bounced from the top of the arc to the bottom of the arc held, and it's just kind of back test the bottom of the arc and it's pushing up higher, it's going to probably end up grabbing up to the next arc up here, right? And the next arc up here is going to be probably around like the 30s or 40s. It could potentially hit the horizontal level up here around 57 or even the 1.618 level, right? If you're talking about the 1.44 level, that's like 36 bucks. That I can see that hitting the arc here, $36 and the cycle. I can see that, right? Or if it ends up going up higher, 58 bucks, or it ends up going higher, 74 bucks. Do I think like some of the higher targets would end up getting hit here? I don't know. Like, do I think that you're going to have like a $278 RNDR? I don't know. Like, it doesn't seem likely to me because it just ran so hard all the way from like 27 cents. But yeah, anything's possible. Is a bull trend. It's going to go higher. Another one that a lot of people are fascinated by, which is Fetch AI, FET. This one is also looking pretty decent. I got some really beautiful market symmetry here too, in terms of the arc here. You basically are breaking through the arc here, got rejected in the top arc, came back down, back to the 0.786, held, right? So it's going to go back to all-time high. It's going to push through this arc, whichever path it ends up doing, and it's probably going to hit the arc up here, and that might be the cycle ender. So you're talking about maybe anywhere from 1.414, which is like around like $12.5, or all the way up to like $27, right? Maybe like a potential anywhere from like a 10 to 20x. That's kind of what I'm looking at. Does it have to do that? No, you can also hit the horizontal line over around like $7.40, and that would be the end of the cycle too, right? It doesn't even have to break through the arc. Like, it doesn't even have to do that. But it's reporting higher highs and higher lows. I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt to push through the arc, get at least to a horizontal level here around 7.4, and then you talk about some of the higher levels up above for FET. A couple of my favorites, and I'm probably going to end up calling the show early. A couple of my favorites. I still like JASMY a lot. JASMY is one of those that, okay, so I did 720 and 0.005. Okay, so JASMY is one of those that I think that, again, has been showing some really beautiful market symmetry. Got rejected by an arc here, came back down, back test the arcs of our holding, went underneath the angle here, pushed back above, back test the angle. I think it probably wants to go higher. How much higher does it want to go? Well, let's see. It has to break about the 0.382 here. If it breaks about 0.382, that basically means that you're going to break about this arc here, and then you're going to have to go into the next arc. The cycle could potentially end at 0.618, which means that JASMY can potentially end up 10x from here. Or if it ends up get really impulsive and breaks out this arc here, then you can go to 0.786 or even higher to this arc up here, which is going to be maybe potentially like 30 or 40x of JASMY. But with that said, you have to break about the zone. I think that the market maestro has been talking about how this looks like a head and shoulder pattern. I saw the same thing, but I think it's going to be a head and shoulder continuation pattern, just like Palantir in like 2023. The reason why I say that is not the Super Ichi, but the Ichimoku. It's basically looking at, it's just trying to like backtest Ichimoku from resistance to support. And it looks like there's a lot of like these moving averages there on a higher time frame that I think is it looks like it's just kind of wanting to consolidate sideways over here, and again, chart is showing you some pretty decent area where it can do that. Can it go all the way down here back to the rising 20-month moving average next month? Maybe even consolidating sideways here a little bit before going higher? Sure. But I just think that this is overall still a higher high and a higher low. And it looks like it wants to push higher whenever it's done consolidating. It's just not ready yet. It's just not ready yet. HBAR, a lot of people talk about HBAR, got really bullish on HBAR because of this big giant green candle. I thought that was going to get rejected. It's going to go back to like 12 cents or 13 cents to close the month because of the upper Bollinger Band here, and because of the Tenkan Nikkei here, and because of the weekly Ichimoku cloud here, right? Still very bullish. I mean, you're getting resistance. You have like really impulsive price action trying to push through. Still very impulsive, but it's just kind of hitting resistance here. So yeah, probably going to close the week underneath the Ichimoku cloud. If it closes above that, man, that's pretty decent. What atom does this cycle? I haven't even looked at atom. I think the problem with atom, like they stake. You make a lot from staking, right? So like basically you're diluting coin holders, like you're diluting like shareholders for yeah, I know. Like you're diluting everybody, right? So that's gonna have a hard time kind of break above. The problem I have with Atom, which is why I also haven't really entered, is because you broke down underneath the zone, and right now you have these wicks about you trying to break above this previous support into resistance, right? So there's no guarantee it can make another leg down, or it can make another cup and handle trying to push out. I don't know, but I just don't think it's going to push through this level, right? There are only two ways to go. One is a cup and handle up, right? And even if you make a cup and handle up, you might make a lower high here, right? And that could still be a little bit bearish. So I'm gonna just like leave Atom alone and slowly step away, right? One that I have is AMP. AMP is um, earlier in the week, but Yeah. So what do I think about AMP? I think it's forming a very, very nice base. And if you look at the TUI Ichimoku, it's basically just been stuck at the bottom of the TUI Ichimoku cloud. It looks like it wants to reclaim the Tenkan. Now the Tenkan, the blue line here is important to reclaim because we reclaim that, then you go a lot higher. It can even get stuck in the cloud. And all it has to do is just do the top of the cloud here. And that's a tremendous amount of gains. So it's like 5x right here, right? We do need to push about the 0.382 before we get, really too bullish on it. We do need to reclaim the 2-week Tenkan. We do need to push about 0.382. And even if the cycle ends at 0.618, that's still like a 5x from here. Even if the cycle ends at 0.786, that's still like a 10x from here. So, yeah, I mean, I think you already made a 10x from October to like March of 2023, 2024 for wave one. So this is wave two. It's been consolidating sideways, very brutal for about like almost the entire year. So I think the next impulse is going to be pretty powerful. I think it's probably going to end up making minimally to like the 0.786, maybe speculation. If it does, that's a lot of gains to be had. If this turns out to be a very powerful wave three, you can even go beyond that, right? I wouldn't speculate too much, but I just, this is one that I do have a position in. So I'm pretty happy about it. A couple of ones that I'm looking at. One is like BOBA. BOBA has been lagging behind. The reason why I'm in BOBA, this is like a very quiet layer two. Is very, very small market capitalization, like $33 million. So it's going to be extremely volatile. It's just made like from like 10 cents all the way to like $1.30 within like a few months. And right now you're kind of coming back down here. We are kind of getting stuck here at the angle here. We're having a little hard time trying to push above. And even on the Ishimoku, like we're at like, kind of at the end of the line here. We're at the end of the line here. If we don't push through the Tenkan, then we're going to get underneath the cloud, which is fine. I'm not that scared if it gets underneath the cloud, but it's like at the end of the line here. I do think that because of such a small market capitalization and the fact that it's available on Coinbase with such a small capitalization, I do think that is possible for BOBA to make some of the really high targets above. Man, I'm gonna make this extend line to the right. There you go. Yeah, I do think that there's going to be a lot more room for BOBA to potentially go up over time. And it doesn't even have to make anything crazy. All it has to do, last time it just went from here all the way close to like 0.618, just like nothing, right? All it has to do is to get to 0.786, and that's tremendous amount of gain. It's like a 15x right there. It could go up a lot higher and very easily because it's such a small market capitalization. It could even go up to like these crazy numbers up here. Like it's entirely possible. I'm not counting on it. This is a little bit of a moon bag for me. I don't really want to shill this anymore because I mean, yeah, if it works out great. If it doesn't, it's small cap, it's risky. Be careful, right? Another one that I do have a small position is SUKU. SUKU is also very small capitalization, available on Coinbase, $12 million market cap, even smaller than BOBA. SUKU is basically just breaking out above and backtest this level over here. If you're looking at the Fibonacci sequence, you can see that it also basically did very, very similar thing as BOBA in terms of Fibonacci level, holding 0.136 level here perfectly. All it really has to do is just hit like 0.786, and that could be like a 10x from here. It did get close to 0.618 just within a few months last time. So I think if it pushes to 0.786, if it challenges it, and over the next year or so, if it breaks above that, then you're talking about some pretty crazy potential gain to be had just because of small market capitalization. But I'm gonna just leave that alone. I'm just letting you know that this is something that I have an eye on, and yeah, we'll see what ultimately happens with. Yeah, I think those are like the key altcoins that I want to talk about, or at least that's a lot of the altcoins that a lot of people ask me about. I can keep going, but I think actually I can't. I gotta go. Sorry, guys. One more. One more. Just one more. COTI. I like COTI because during wave one here, it made almost like an 8x, and it hit the 0.618 on wave 1, and it came back down, and right now it's trying to push to the 0.382. If it's able to push to the 0.382, it can go back to 0.618 and go higher. I think that's because of how powerful wave 1 was. I think wave 3 is going to be pretty powerful. I think it's probably going to make all-time highs. I don't know if it's going to make $5, but I think that it's possible for it to make some of the lower numbers over here. $2 or $3 may still maybe a little bit too mooncatish, but I think it's possible. I think $2 or $3 is entirely possible to cycle for COTI, and that would be like 20 or 30x from here. Anyway, they can all go down to zero. Crypto's a scam. Bitcoin's a scam. They're all going to zero. Don't worry about what I just said, okay? All right. Thank you for joining this impromptu live stream to talk about a lot of the favorite altcoins. Just wanted to talk about them because you know why I want to talk about altcoins today? Because they're down a lot. They've been up a lot and they've been down a lot. Just like the same reasoning why I was talking about Mara, over the last few days. Just like the same exact reasoning why I was talking about Coinbase. Just like exact reasoning why I was talking about DOGE before they go up, because they're having bad days. I just want to talk about things when they're bad because I'm a sicko. Because I am a weirdo and I'm sick in the head. That's why. Anyway, thank you for joining. You guys have a good one. Midday surprise stream. I try to do these, but I'm gonna stop hiding and face reality now. Have a good one, guys.